New Hampshire becomes the first state to pass a Bitcoin reserve bill. This is huge and historic. I'll give you all the details. And it was chaos at the crypto hearing today with Congress. I'll share what happened and who walked out and all the craziness that took place. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, welcome into the Thinking Crypto podcast, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. I'm your host, Tony Edward. On your way in, please hit that subscribe button as well as the thumbs up button and leave a comment below. If you're listening on a podcast platform such as Spotify or Apple, please leave a 5-star rating and review. Folks, tomorrow we are going to hear from the Fed if they are going to cut rates. Right now, the markets are anticipating there will be no rate cut, but could we get surprised by the Fed? It's a possibility, but we'll have to wait and see. But the other factor that I'm more curious about is if Jerome Powell signals the end of QT, because the last meeting, he said that they were ramping down quantitative tightening. They dropped it by 80% and, all the things that they do there. And as we've been talking about for the past 2 to 3 years, we are on the path to quantitative easing where they are going to be supporting the markets, buying securities, printing money again. That is the status quo. They can't escape from it. Congress wants, $6 trillion. They're raising the debt ceiling. How do you pay for all that? We know how the story ends, and that is quantitative easing, folks. So it's just a matter of hearing this or getting the signal from Jerome Powell, because if he simply signals that QT is wrapping up and they're going to start quantitative easing sometime this year, that's all the markets need to hear, because the markets are forward looking and they know more money, more liquidity is coming. And we've been tracking global liquidity and that has been on the rise. And we see Bitcoin and the stock market and all these assets are moving with it. So tomorrow's a big day, and expect volatility, by the way. As usually in any week, there's a Fed announcement or a Fed meeting. What's interesting, and shout out to Marty Party on X here, he highlighted that the Fed has started to do some stealth QE. So Janet Yellen, when she was in office with the Biden administration, was doing a bit of this, backdooring liquidity and much more from the Treasury. And Marty provided the following Treasury news breakdown. And he said, today, the U.S. Treasury auctioned 3-year Treasury bonds. They tried to sell $150 billion, but only sold $78 billion. Look at the Fed line item SOMA or SOMA. This is the Fed buying $20 billion themselves. So notice the Fed going back to buying some of these things, supporting, it's not making the big headlines. It's not the official quantitative easing headline. We're printing money, we're doing stimulus, right? But backdooring it. So all of this is going to contribute to global liquidity rising, which results in higher prices for assets. So I like what I'm seeing here. So this timeline or these activities, and maybe we hear something tomorrow, aligns with the bull market continuing, folks. So just be prepared. And we see today Bitcoin was actually moving up. It's currently over $97,000. Let's see if this continues, but I can't really judge anything this week because, once again, a lot of volatility anytime you have announcements with the Fed. Now, folks, we had some of the most bullish news today. New Hampshire becomes the first state to pass a strategic Bitcoin reserve bill into law. This is a landmark win, folks. Incredible. We've been tracking different states. Some have rejected, some have delayed. Recently, we reported on Arizona's governor, not a fan of what is happening here. I'm looking to stop the bill, but we got the first state. And as I always tell you guys, it just takes one state to move and then the rest will follow. The dominoes will follow because game theory is going to play out. So, of course, this gives the state the ability to establish a Bitcoin and digital assets reserve fund, and they can buy the assets directly or through an ETF. So incredible stuff. And I'm going to have Dennis Porter from the Satoshi Action Fund on the podcast tomorrow, because he's the one that's been, working with the different states across the nation to try to get this done. So this is a huge win. And recently I mentioned in one of my podcasts that even if none of these states approve it this year, the fact that we got this far along in the process where the states got it through their House and their Senate, so to speak, right, their whole legislative process, is a huge victory. It got further than expected. And that also there was a likelihood that one or two states would get this done because on the federal level, the government is looking to establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Trump signed the executive order, right? So things are moving in the right direction here, guys. And as always, it starts with Bitcoin and they will eventually make their way to altcoins. We're seeing it on the ETF front and other fronts as well. So this is just amazing. It's essentially the nation's first Bitcoin and digital assets reserve fund because on the federal level, they're still looking for revenue neutral ways to do this where it doesn't affect the taxpayers. They don't use taxpayer money to pay for this. But on the state level, it's a bit different. And, as we've been talking about, Bitcoin and crypto are the fastest horse in the race. They're going to help the state pensions and investment funds to be able to grow in value and wealth, of course, and that will work out well locally. So this is incredible news, guys. I hope you realize how significant this is. And here's just a photo of the New Hampshire governor, Kelly Ayotte, if I'm saying that right. She officially signed a bill into law. And it's just amazing stuff here. This is historic, guys. Historic. Now, when we look at the tracker, as far as which states are in the lead, so obviously New Hampshire, they have enacted it. Arizona is one step away from this being enacted. North Carolina is 2 steps away. And then we also have Texas is 2 steps away, and Alabama is about 3 steps away. So these are the states that are in the lead, essentially, to get this done. And I think the fact that New Hampshire got it done, it's going to make it easier for the other states to follow suit because you have a clear leader in the space, and no one wants to get left behind. And game theory, you guys know I've talked about that ad nauseum, but I hope you understand how significant this is. And we continue to see more buying of Bitcoin from the ETF issuers. So BlackRock's IBIT took in another $500 million yesterday into their ETF, of course, extending inflow streak to 15 days and is now the sixth in year-to-date flows, passing gold, which is notable because IBIT is only up 4% versus gold, having the run of its life. Eric Balchunas of Bloomberg says to take in more cash in that scenario is a really good sign for long-term and inspires confidence in our call that Bitcoin ETFs will have triple gold's AUM in 3 to 5 years. So this is incredible, what's happening. And as more states pass the Bitcoin reserve, guess where they're most likely going to buy their Bitcoin from? The ETFs. And who's going to be at the top of the list? BlackRock. See how this is all playing out, the Wall Street takeover here. So this is why I'm bullish on Bitcoin long-term as a store of value digital gold. There's some Bitcoin I'm never selling. I've often said I'm going to hand it down to my daughter. There will be some I'm taking profits on this cycle, of course, because first and foremost, I need to make sure my financial situation's in a good place, right? Expanding my retirement, paying off debt, and having more financial freedom. So that's number one. And then I'm going to rinse and repeat for the different bull market cycles, this bull market and then the next bull market of 2028 into 2030. So I'm preparing to squeeze as much juice out of this orange as possible. Now, folks, quick word from our sponsor, and that is VeChain. VeChain is one of the top layer one enterprise blockchains out there. They're working with many brands and companies globally to build sustainability and Web3 projects. And some of the great features of the VeChain blockchain includes it's secure, affordable, scalable, fast, and sustainable. Some of the brands they work with include BMW, Walmart China, PwC, Givenchy, Boston Consulting Group, and they are even partnered with Dana White and the UFC to do some great things when it comes to sustainability and rewarding people for living healthier lives and much more. So VeChain doing some amazing things. I'm a VET token holder. I have been since 2018. I'm bullish on this project. So if you'd like to learn more about VeChain, go to vechain.org. The link will be in the description. Now, folks, today it was chaos on Capitol Hill as a crypto hearing in the House just got derailed by some top Democrats, including Maxine Waters, who you can see the photo here, walked out. And her and some other Democrats also did the same thing. And the House Committee on Agriculture, it's a Republican committee, tweeted out, while Maxine Waters rushed out the door, adults remain in the room. Republicans and Democrats working together on bipartisan efforts to bring clarity to the digital asset space. Now, not all Democrats left, but obviously Maxine Waters left, and she actually had folks go to another hearing that was talking about Trump's crypto corruption. So they're really using Trump's businesses in crypto, like World Liberty Financial and much more, to go against Trump. So it's getting nasty here. And this is, I hate politics and I hate stuff like this. And I hope they are able to get this done, folks, because we need the legislation, we need the regulation done so that the industry can have the clarity, but also consumers can be protected. If we don't do that, a lot of people are going to have issues. We could have another FTX problem, right? You need the regulators to have the guardrails. You need the crypto companies to know who to go to, who to plug into, and have full transparency and oversight, because we can't have Celsius and FTX and all these things happen. We need the right things to happen. And obviously, we want innovation to flourish as well. So this is getting really, really nasty. It's a mess. And there's even a clip of one congressman just not even adhering to the rules. And Representative Brian Stile, who I've had on the podcast, he had to correct his congressman. And it was just really hard to watch. But, hopefully they can get some sort of resolution here and we can move forward. Now, Mike Belshi, founder and CEO of BitGo, who I've had on the podcast many times, and I'm a big fan of Mike's. He's a Web 1.0 guy and worked at Google on Chrome and much more. And obviously here building one of the biggest crypto companies. It's a huge crypto custodian. He tweeted out this morning, heading out of DC this morning after dinner with Donald Trump last night. We've had a wave of strong wins for the crypto industry already this year, thanks to his leadership, and we've put America back into the leadership role for the future of finance and capital markets. There is more work to do, and this week we are calling on Congress to continue their support for crypto by passing the Genius Act, which brings clarity to business, safety to users, and strengthens the dollar globally. This is a unanimously positive bill for crypto voters, and crypto voters will remember your support. Additionally, yesterday brought our first updated look at the market structure bill, which we hope will ultimately pass this year also. It's time to biddle with confidence and safety. So great to see that, these CEOs and founders are engaging with Donald Trump and the members of the federal government to try to get all these things done. And we absolutely need the engagement there. Now, speaking of stablecoins, we have some news here around Tether. So Tether adds Chainalysis tokenization platform for compliance and monitoring. Tether, the issuer of the world's largest stablecoin by market cap, USDT, has announced a partnership with Chainalysis that will integrate the company's compliance and monitoring tools onto Tether's tokenization platform. The move comes amid expanding oversight across the crypto industry. Launched in November 2024, the Hadron by Tether platform is designed for institutions, corporations, and governments, entities that may be interested in tokenizing real-world assets, ranging from financial instruments and real estate to debt and commodities. So this is great. Chainalysis, they do a lot of on-chain data and analytics and forensics and much more. So great to see Tether's plugging into this, and they may be able to provide more transparency around what they're doing. So this is a pretty big win here for Tether. Now we have some ETF news. So Bitwise has filed for a Near ETF. So many of you may know about the Near protocol. I believe they're one of the AI themed blockchains out there. So we continue to see more demand for altcoin ETFs. And I think this is going to really put more pressure on the SEC to approve these things. And here's another one. 21 Shares launches an ETP for Crypto.com's Chronos token, so the CRO product. And I think this could do well, as Crypto.com has partnered with the Trump Media Group to launch some ETFs and much more. So this is pretty big, guys. Things are growing, things are expanding, we're seeing more demand, and I think if we get crypto legislation done this year, it's going to be huge, 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 huge for the market. It could signal the top, by the way, with all these things, but this is where you need to have a profit-taking plan. Bull markets don't last forever, and there will be a bear market. It's not the nature of markets. This is the same thing for the stock market, right? Nothing goes up in a straight line. Just remember what happened in 2022. For all of you who think there's not going to be a bear market, just go look at the stock market in 2022. Look at crypto in 2022. So remember, don't move by emotions. Use the data, use pattern recognition, use the charts, use the on-chain data and metrics and much more to form your thesis. Don't go by your gut and, oh, I feel this is going to happen. No, but the markets don't care about your feelings. What you need to do is look at what's happening. This is why I update you guys on the charts, the on-chain data, what whales are doing, what the Fed is doing, because the Fed impacts markets from a macro perspective, right? All markets. So that's why we're watching for QE and rate cuts and all these things. Not that necessarily rate cuts mean that the markets are going to pump, but we're looking to see if the Fed is going to turn dovish, right? And they start to opening up more liquidity and much more. That is what we care about. Not so much that the rates are getting cut. It's a sentiment and the forecasting of the future path that we're headed towards. So it's like dominoes, right? You know, as the dominoes fall. So that is what we're paying attention to, folks. So that's the news. Let me know what you guys think. Leave your thoughts and comments below. Hit the thumbs up button. A great way you can support me in the podcast is by subscribing to my free email newsletter. It's 100% free. It's on Substack. Also, check out my book on Amazon. It's available in paperback and digital, and my course at mycryptocourse.com. This is a comprehensive course that teaches you every aspect of crypto. Knowledge is power. So if you want to expand your knowledge around this asset class and technology, this is the course for you. And best of all, what makes it unique, it features expert commentary. You're going to hear from founders, CEOs, institutional investors, and it includes videos, text write-ups, downloadable materials. You pay a one-time fee, you get lifetime access, and you can go at your own pace. Share to log in with your friends and family if you want, but this thing is packed with a lot of value. So if you'd like to learn more, go to mycryptocourse.com. A link will be in the description. Thank you guys for watching and listening. I appreciate you all, and I'll talk to you all later.